I'm Dr. Anthea Todd, and this is What's My Body Telling Me? If you've ever felt like something's off, but your tests say you're fine, or you keep ending up in the same patterns with no clear reason, you're not broken. You're just not listening in a way your body needs. Here, we do things differently. I'll show you how to tune into your body, not your bias, and understand your symptoms to reconnect to the health that actually feels good for you and your life. Because your body isn't the problem, it's the solution. And your journey starts by asking one question: what is my body telling me? Ready to listen differently? Let's begin. Welcome back. On today's episode, this is one of the most juiciest topics that I love to talk about. And it's all to do with how much control we actually have over creating the reality that we want. So a lot of us might be thinking about manifestation, the law of attraction, the law of assumption, or we might be thinking about why the fuck do I feel like this and I just want a completely different health reality. Well, let's understand how you can actually do that today. Let's make it really, really super simple and easy, because let's face it, sometimes our body feels super confusing. Our brain feels confusing. We feel so overwhelmed with the absolute clusterfuck that can be happening inside our mind. But actually, we can break it down to be really super simple and easy. So I want you to think of your brain as the connector between your reality outside and your body inside. And our brain has lots of different components. We have things like the anterior midcingulate gyrus. We have the parahippocampus, hippocampus, corpus callosum, pituitary gland, cerebellum, amygdala, all of these different wonderful, very big, long words, which you don't actually have to remember at all. What we're going to do is put them into very simple hubs and nodes where we bunch some of these areas together. So one of these hubs and nodes, there's going to be three of them, by the way. One of them you can think of as the body, the part of the brain that represents the body. It's the part of the brain that gets a lot of feedback from the body. And we call this part of the brain, in technical terms, the salience network. But I just want you to think of it as body. And this part of the brain that reads the body is how we feel. So this makes up the feeling part of our reality. Then we have another part of our brain, which is called, in technical terms, the central executive network, which again, you don't need to remember. All I want you to think of is this part is the action part. So first we have the body part, which is what you feel. Second, we have the action part, which is what you do. And then third and lastly, we have the hub that is what you think. And this, in technical terms, is called the default mode network. But you can think of it as the story part. So we have number one, the body part, which is what you feel. Number two, the action part is what you do. And then third and lastly, the story part, which is what you think. So everybody's reality is made up of what they feel, what they think, and what they do, including yours. So how do we turn from reacting to our reality to creating our reality? And there's a really big difference when we are reactive versus creative. Creative just feels so much better. Reactive feels like we're always one step behind. Like, when are we ever going to have control or freedom over our life? When are we actually ever going to feel alive? We're always reacting. There's someone else that feels like they're controlling our life. We're at the whim and the mercy of everything else. But when we're creating, then we're one step ahead. Then we get to actually have control and freedom and autonomy over our life and over how our body feels. So let's understand this in actual relatable situations. So a thing to remember, and we're going to reiterate this over and over and over, is that when we are reacting, we are going from story, creating action from our story, and then our body gives us feedback. So we are doing things based on what we think, and then our feelings change. But if we want to create, we actually go from our feelings to actions, and then what we think changes because we become the evidence that proves our story is wrong. One other thing to remember, this story part of your brain, the part that's technically called the default mode network, we default to this part of our brain when we are not in our body and we are also not doing an action that we have to focus on. So if we're not doing an action that we have to focus on, say for instance, I don't know, learning to play tennis, then we're not going to be in the story part of our brain as much. And the story part of our brain is the part of our brain that is trying to make sense of who we are in the world, who everyone else is in the world, the stories that we have about that, the stories that we have about the past, the things that we're trying to figure out for the future. This is the story part of our brain. And we can often find ourselves ruminating, or if we find ourselves procrastinating or worrying or feeling like we're getting ourselves into a mental hole, this is a sign that we're stuck in the story part of our brain. And the story part of our brain does not know how to tell time. It doesn't know how to tell time. So it thinks, whether we're thinking about the stories of the future or the stories of the past, it thinks it's happening right now. So I don't know about you, but anytime you've ever been stressed or worked up or anxious about something, ever notice how your body changes and shifts? If you've ever gone on live TV like I did a couple of weeks ago, I didn't sleep much at all the day before. First time ever on live TV, thinking, what happens if I completely tank? What happens if I accidentally swear? What happens if I pass out? What happens if I say something really bad? What happens if I take down the whole reputation of everything of my family, or all this, like whatever the hell the stories are, right? That's a story. I was in the story part of my brain. My body didn't realize that it was 2 a.m. in the morning and it was actually time to be sleeping. I didn't need to get up then. But me being in the story part was impacting my body, how I felt. I was feeling, oh, I wasn't hungry in the morning before I went on. I wasn't sleeping very well. So how I felt and my body's functions were altered based on the story. So let's figure out some common stories that you might be having and how we can actually become the creator and not the reactor. And when we're doing this, our body is giving us feedback. Because remember, our body is our compass. Our symptoms are telling us whether we're in alignment or not. That's all that they're doing. That is why your body is the most amazing thing ever. It's just incredible. I love it so much. So if you have a story, a thought that you're only valuable if you're productive, I want you to lean into that and go, yeah, I do have that one. Or, oh my gosh, my mum or my sister or my friend or someone pops into your mind. If someone pops into your mind, send them this podcast episode because I need to hear it. But if this is you, you have that story of I'm only productive. I'm only valuable if I'm productive. What happens? What do we do if we have that story? We might overwork. We might ignore when we're hungry or tired or in pain. We might be someone's like, oh, I'll just push through. If you've read my book, we talk about the avoidant health type. You might be someone that's like, oh my gosh, I look up at the clock and it was 9 a.m. and now it's 3 p.m. and I forgot to have breakfast and lunch. Or I'm so exhausted and tired, but that's okay. I'll just put heaps of things on my to-do list and I'll be fueled by my to-do list. Is this sounding familiar? So you might be skipping meals, you might be skipping rest, you might be pushing through and not taking bathroom breaks. We might be saying yes to a lot of things when you actually really want to say no, because you're thinking, well, if I can be productive and do all these things, then I'm valuable, then I'm worthy of people's time and attention. But what happens is our body then is going to give us feedback. What's it going to give us? Fatigue, burnout, sickness that lands you in bed flat on your ass and takes you weeks to recover. Digestive issues. You might feel tension and tight. You feel like you're rushing around. You have difficulty sleeping because your nervous system is so high on alert that you're so hypersensitive to any noise or any sound. You can't get comfortable in your body. This is what happens when we go from story and we allow our story to dictate our actions, and then our body is going to give us feedback. So what do we do instead? Well, we can come from body first and we allow our body to dictate our actions. And this is where it's important to go to, okay, well, how do I actually want to feel? And if you're noticing that this is the story and you're actually catching it in the moment, come back to your body. So you may notice, oh, my shoulders are a bit tight and they're up near my ears. Oh, I'm just going to let them drop a little bit. What happens if I just take a big breath in and out? I just let that breath out. And it's almost like we can have this dial that's controlling the speed of our voice, the speed of our breath, the speed of everything that we do. And we can turn it down just a little bit. So if we can ground into, I really want to feel my body. I want to feel calm. How could I allow my body to feel more calm? How could I create a sense of stillness in my body? So this is where we come to, that's the feeling that I desire. Okay, so what's the action that I'm going to take? Well, maybe it's, I'm going to take 5 slow breaths in and out, or I'm going to cancel or reschedule this one thing that's creating a lot of this panic and sped up and feeling like, well, I have to be productive in order to be valuable. So when we cancel, reschedule that thing, we get into our body, we nourish our body, we go, oh, actually, what it's telling me is that I need to go to the toilet. I've been ignoring that, or I'm thirsty and I need a sip of water, or oh, my feet are really cold. I would love to put on some socks. Do the thing that your body is telling you to do to make it feel more comfortable. Then this helps to rewrite the story. And rewriting this story from, well, I'm only valuable if I'm productive, when we come from our body and we're anchoring into that feeling that we love and that nourishes our body, and we're changing the actions, what happens is we become the evidence for our new story. And that new story can be, I am valuable even when I pause, or my body is allowed to lead. Notice how that feels. Already when I'm saying that out loud, I love my body is allowed to lead. This is one that I've had personally, and I've realized that I used to be like, well, I'll get stillness on the other side of getting everything done. When I've got everything done, then I'll know everything's okay. Then I'll be able to relax. But what happens? That's never the case, ever. It's like, oh, I can relax for a bit. And then it's like, okay, well, what's the next thing then? Well, what's the next thing then? And then I never really get that feeling of stillness. Instead of, you know what? I'm fucking sick and tired of this. I actually really want to feel calm and nourished and grounded, and like this aliveness and this feeling of energy is actually oozing out of me. I need to do things differently if that's actually going to happen. But I need to leave from the feeling, not the thoughts, because the thoughts and the story hasn't got me there. It really hasn't. So what I'm going to do is actually go from the feeling to the action, and that's going to rewrite this story to disprove this belief that I've had. Because really, a belief, or the truth, should I say, is just a story that you choose to believe in. That is what creates your truth. So if you're thinking, well, yeah, it is true that I have to be productive to be valuable, I'd say, how's your body feel with that? Do you have digestive issues or hormonal issues? Or do you feel burnout? Do you get tired all the time? Do you feel like you're oozing energy from within? Or do you need to run off energy drinks and coffee? We're listening to our body differently. You're the type of person who shows up. You get things done. You handle it because that's just what you do. But lately, your body isn't exactly on board. The fatigue, the fog, the constant tension. Maybe your hair's thinning. Maybe you're up all night thinking about how burnt out you are, but you still can't stop. We created the body-led experience for exactly this kind of moment. When your body's saying, I can't keep doing this, but you don't know how to stop. Inside, you'll find a symptom decoder that helps you figure out what's really going on simply. Plus, practical tools to support the systems that actually run your body, from your nervous system, metabolism, nutrients, and blood sugars. And you'll also find audio support like body love hypnosis and walkable pep talks so you can shift gears even while life keeps moving. It's support you can feel, not another thing to figure out. Plus, you'll be surrounded by a community of women who are rewriting what health looks like from the inside out. Join the movement, reconnect with your body. You don't need more, you just need to do different. Find out more at femalefundamentals.com.au or click the link in the show notes. All right, what happens if we take another story? What happens if we take the story of, if I speak up or say no, I'll be rejected or seen as selfish? Hands up, or send this to someone that you know has this one. And again, I've had bits of this, not wanting to be seen as selfish. Oh my gosh, if you called me selfish, that would be the worst thing ever. I would go out of my way to prove that I'm not selfish. That's probably not ideal. So when we have this story of, if I speak up or say no, I'll be rejected or seen as selfish, what happens to our actions? Well, we can people please. We can put other people ahead of us to show that we're not selfish. See how selfless I am? Or we might swallow and just bite our tongue and not say the things that we really believe to be true for us and express our emotions. We might avoid conflict. We might be the one that says, oh no, everything's fine. Your voice went high. It's not. That's just another little tip for us. If someone's voice goes high, they don't mean it. So what happens to the body? You might get bloating. You might have a sore throat or tightness in your throat, thyroid imbalances, tight jaw pain, grinding your teeth, skin issues. All of these things can happen when we aren't protecting ourselves, prioritizing ourselves, setting boundaries, saying what we mean. We're holding it in. When we don't express ourselves in a healthy way, how we mean, what our body is trying to tell us to say and to do, it gets expressed in another way, and our body will just express it through physical symptoms like bloating, a pit in our stomach, tightness in our throat, tension in our jaw, grinding our teeth, skin issues. So what happens if we went from body first? So this is where we can notice, okay, I'm noticing these sensations in our body. Again, you might be noticing this pit in your stomach or tightness in your throat. And this is where we address and we go, okay, I noticed that. What does this part of my body, or what does my body feel like it wants to do? And sometimes it can be down to, what's the movement that this wants to take? And then do the movement. Again, it's always a movement that isn't harmful to you or to anyone else. It's the movement that your body feels like it wants to do to express this feeling. So we're going from feeling to action to rewriting story. So an example might be that you notice tightness in your throat or a pit in your stomach. When you just say, oh yeah, that's fine, I'll do that. And you're like, oh, why did I say that? And this is your body going, that's not what we want to do. And we pay attention to that. And sometimes this might be like, I don't even feel anything. I'm so numbed out because I haven't even done this in such a long time. Like tuning into my body seems like such a foreign thing. But the more you do this, the more you will feel it closer to the time of when you're making actions and decisions. So then when you're noticing that pit in your stomach, when you say yes again, this is where you take an action. You go, actually, I have to say no to this. And sometimes you don't actually need to give them a reason. And sometimes you might not even know the reason. You're like, I could do it. I do have the energy now, but I actually really don't want to do it. And if I say yes to this, then what's that going to do? It's going to burn me out. And I don't want to be burnt out. I want to be filling my life with stuff that I actually really want to do. That's what we all want to do. So when we say no to things that we don't want to do, based on how we want to feel and anchoring into that, we can rewrite our story into something like boundaries protect my energy, and honesty builds real connection. When you're authentically connecting to what you want, people that are aligned to you will find you more, and people that aren't will be like, oh, what the heck? And you'll be like, okay, great. Like, I don't actually want you in my life. That's okay. But it's trusting that when you are you, the right people come into your life and you are nourished and valuable. And it doesn't matter if people think you're selfish or not. It's what you think of you. All right, next one, the not enough loop. Oh, baby, this one comes up for me sometimes. So what happens if you have the story of my body's broken, I'm never doing enough, or sometimes something might be wrong with me? So what happens if you have one of those? My body's broken, I'm never doing enough, or something might be wrong with me. What do we do when that's happening? We might be obsessively researching symptoms, over supplementing, jumping from protocol to protocol, being a perfectionist in health routines. You might have this checklist that is miles long. And let me tell you, I see so many patients. I actually saw one this morning that everything seems like it was perfect in her routine, but she had all of these different symptoms. She had persistent menstrual bleeding for months with no break. She felt exhausted. She didn't repair from sickness very well. And she had the best diet. She was doing exercise every day for 5 days of the week. She was hydrating. She was in a great relationship. It's like, oh, okay. And you have a drawer full of half-used supplements and you're trying to do these things. But really what you're doing is that you never think you're doing enough, and you inherently actually feel like something's broken in your body. Even though all the tests and everything have come back normal, there's nothing you need medication or surgery for to help this. We need to address what your story is saying, because this story is creating actions that are overloading your nervous system, that are creating constipation, erratic digestion, heavy menstrual cycles, sleep issues, heightened symptom sensitivity. So we create instead of react. And this is where we drop into, okay, the body first. How do I feel right now? Like right in this moment. And sometimes it could be down to, am I safe right now? Like right now, am I safe? Then we can say, well, how do I feel in my body? And sometimes if feeling inside your body and you're in a heightened state, sometimes that doesn't feel nice because our body doesn't feel like a safe place to be. If your body doesn't feel like a safe place to be, we have a free body trust hypnosis, which I would highly recommend listening to. You can get that on our website. We'll put the link in the show notes. But if you're noticing that you don't want to connect to your body because it doesn't feel safe, this is where you can connect to outside. Go, okay, I want to find 10 blue things that I can see. Or what can I smell? Let me focus on a smell. Or what can I touch? What can I feel? So notice those things if you don't feel like you want to come into your body. But if you feel safe to go into your body, drop into your body and go, okay, well, how do I want to feel? How would I feel if I was the version of me that felt still and calm and grounded and energized and all this beautiful mix of aliveness? How would I feel? And then what would I do? So pick one thing that would be nourishing to your body and the action that your body wants to take, and do that. Sometimes for me, it's going, oh, my body just wants to move. It wants to shake, or it wants to move to this sensual music. It wants to rage out and punch a pillow or go into a boxing class. It wants to dance and shake and laugh. So this is where we express the emotions. We move things through our body because we're coming from our body. And then this helps us get perspective. We are out of the story part of our brain, because remember, the story part is the default. When we're not in our body and we're not in action, we default to story. But when we allow our default to run the show, our story to run the show, we get stuck in this loop and we're reactive. We're not being creative and changing our reality. So come to your body. What does it feel like it wants to do? Do that action. And then that helps you be the creator of your reality and become the evidence to disprove your beliefs, to disprove the story. So maybe your new story, instead of my body's broken, or I'm never doing enough, or something must be wrong with me, maybe it's my body isn't a project. It's a partner, or it's a best friend, and it's allowed to heal in cycles. How does that feel in your body? So these are just some common things that you might be noticing. There's so many different stories that you can notice, and it can be great to realize you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the story part of my brain. I'm not here. I'm not present. I'm focusing on future stuff, or I'm focusing on past stuff, and I'm noticing my body get all tense and tight and changing with all of this. This is where we go to, okay, well, I'm going to get into my body. Get into your body in some way, shape, or form, by movement, by connecting to a sense, taking a breath, caring for your fundamentals, because your body is also, have I cared for my fundamentals? If you're tired or hungry or haven't used your bowels or your bladder, haven't connected with someone you loved, have low iron, your hormones are a bit all over the shop, then your story is going to be altered. Ever try and think really great thoughts when you are exhausted and jet lagged or starving? I know my brain, my story does not give me good ones when I'm tired and hungry. So if you're noticing your own story and it's giving you all these really nasty stories, come back to your body and go, okay, what does my body feel like it needs? Connect to your body. You can take some deep breaths. You can move how your body wants to move. You can shake, you can dance, you can punch, you can scream, you can do whatever you feel like you need to do. And then also go, have I actually just cared for my fundamentals? And if you're like, I don't even know what that is, what does a toddler need? Because a toddler's body needs what our body needs. Needs to eat, needs to sleep, needs to cuddles, needs to move, needs to be able to go outside. So think about what your body needs. It also needs hydration. Do those things instead of staying stuck in the loop of the story and trying to rewrite the story from the story, because often we get bogged down and we stay there. Come back to your body, take the action based on your body, and that rewrites your story. That is how you become the creator, instead of running all your actions and all the things you're doing based on the story. And this is exactly why, one of the reasons why we created this podcast, because it's about your body leading the way. Your body is going to tell you. Your symptoms aren't the problem, they're the solution. And when we do things based on what we think, our mind can be inundated with all of this different information from any different platform. So we need to pay attention to, okay, this is what I'm thinking, but what do I actually feel? What does my body want? What is my body giving me feedback on? Let my body lead the way. When we let our body lead the way, this is where we get inner discernment. And this is when we're actually giving our body what it needs, because it's telling us. We just need to listen to it in a different way. So I hope this episode was very enlightening. I know whenever I feel like I'm stuck in story, or I'm just getting in these loops and my body's not really loving me, I just come back to my body and go, okay, have I given it the fundamentals that it needs? And am I actually listening to it? What does it actually want to do? Oh my gosh, I've been sitting down working inside and I haven't made time for things that are playful and pleasurable, and my body is stiff and tight and it really just wants to shake or stretch or do these things. I'm going to gift that to my body. So give the gift to your body of listening to it, and listening to it differently. Until next time, I'll see you later. If this episode resonated and you feel like you're stuck in the space between symptoms and solutions, you're not alone. I've been there too, and that's why I created all of this. From the book, if you're just starting to listen, or the test if you want clarity your bloods couldn't give you, or the body-led experience if you've tried doing it all and still feel flat. Well, sometimes you need something specific, like one of our symptom series, for a deep dive support on topics like fatigue and menopause. So wherever you start, just know your body's already guiding you. Share this with someone who needs it, and don't forget to follow and rate the show. Please remember, this episode is for educational purposes only. Always consult a qualified health practitioner before making any medical decisions. Every body is different, and so is every healing journey.